Hello and welcome to Atop the Fourth Wall, where bad comics burn. This week and next week, we're going to take a look at the first attempt to follow up on the story of John Carpenter's The Thing. Now, there is a bit of a problem with this. Unlike the Silent Hill comics, which told their own stories, these are a direct sequel to the events of the movie. As a result, I'm gonna have to talk about the ending to the movie and many of the plot details that occurred within it. As such, this is just my warning, people. There will be spoilers. It's probably best if you've seen The Thing to understand some of the points I'm coming from here, but also you should see it just because it's a really good movie. I do find it kind of amusing, however, how opinions can really change years and years down the line. John Carpenter's The Thing was actually critically panned at the time of its release. It was too slow, too gory. Hell, the friggin' music was nominated for a Razzie Award, and that's especially mind-boggling when you consider the music was done by Ennio friggin' Morricone! You know, the guy behind the music of The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, and lots of other awesome films? I honestly don't get people sometimes. But anyway, yeah, these days the movie gets the respect it deserves. Anyway, let's talk spoilers. As I stated last time, the plot of The Thing is that a shape-shifting alien creature arrives at an Antarctic outpost. It attempts to absorb all the people at the base, and we kind of play 10 Little Indians. The crewmen do their best to fight it, but eventually they're taken over or killed one by one. There's immense paranoia amongst the group because, as Childs pointed out,
if I was an imitation, a perfect imitation, how would you know if it was really me?
As you saw in last week's comic, it was discovered that every part of the Thing was living, so by exposing a person's blood over a fire, or a hot needle in this case, you could discover if they were infected with the Thing or not. By the end, the men were forced to destroy the base, hopefully killing the Thing. The two remaining survivors were MacReady and Childs, but it was left ambiguous as to whether or not one, both, or neither were infected. All they knew was that neither was in any shape to fight the other if they were. And that's where we're left off. And I must admit, after rereading these, they're not as bad as when I originally read them, but they're not exactly good either. And I think I can tell you why. 2 words: Tonal Shift. The reason that the film worked was because there was this foreboding sense of paranoia where anyone could be infected and not be who they said they were. It draws you in, and when the Thing is revealed, you know things are about to go intense. Every build-up is paid off. I think there's only one jump scare in the movie, and even then it's plot-driven. The problem with any sequel you're gonna have to this is how do you maintain that same kind of tone without everything just being a retread of the first movie? And really, this goes back to the very reason why it's set in the Antarctic. It's established in the movie that if the Thing ever manages to escape the snowy, lifeless area, Earth and every living thing on it is pretty much doomed. After all, it would just need to infect a fly or something, and it'd spread pretty damn quickly. Setting a sequel anywhere else just raises a whole bunch of problems. But that's something we'll talk about next time when we discuss about what was going to be the actual sequel from several years ago. In the meantime, however, let's dig into The Thing from Another World #1.
Welcome to Atop the Fourth Wall, where bad comics burn. Linkara's gonna teach you all a lesson you won't learn. Brodsky, you're not the smartest. Life out, you're not an artist. Anyone who's had a bad comic published, it could
comic is going by the title of the 1951 film is pretty straightforward. Dark Horse was afraid it'd get confused with Marvel's ever-loving blue-eyed character from the Fantastic Four, so calling it The Thing from Another World links it to the film without changing much. Although honestly, if you look at this cover, I doubt you would immediately think, huh, The Thing, eh? Well, clearly this book is about the orange rocky guy who clobbers supervillains. On that note, this is actually a pretty damn good cover. While I'm never fond of blank backgrounds, this gets the idea of the creature pretty effectively. A combination of humanoid bits with something completely inhuman underneath it, plus tentacles. Very effective, very horrific. Kudos there. We begin with a text recap of the movie. 72 hours ago... that's a little iffy. The website Outpost 31 actually did an overview of the timeline of the movie, based on the times it goes dark, the glimpses of clocks and dialogue spoken. It's actually more likely that the events of the movie took place over 6 days, not 3. But hey, that's just nitpicking. It's not like they'll just radically change how the thing operates in this text recap, right? Yeah, let's talk about that. 48 hours ago, the organism, the Thing, began its assault on the men of Outpost 31, able to infect new victims merely by touching them. Stop! Okay, the movie was actually very vague about how the Thing infected other creatures. Chances are, though, it was probably related to liquid or fluid based on what we see it do to the dogs. However, it's pretty damn obvious that it was not spread just through touch. You know why? Because if it was based on touch, it would never have to transform back into the Thing, ever. It could go around the camp poking people and going, does this bug you? Does this bug you? Does this bug you? And the invasion would be over. And don't tell me it had to touch them while it was in non-human or non-dog form. That's just stupid. When it's changed into a different form, it's still the Thing. It just looks like something else. We see more than once in the film that it can manipulate parts of the body without needing to fully transform into a blobby, gooey gestalt of animals. The Thing turned the humans against one another and began constructing a craft capable of carrying it far from the frozen wastes of Antarctica to a warmer and more populated location. Oh yeah, I keep forgetting about this. In the movie, when they lock Blair in the tool shed, he apparently breaks out and starts stealing helicopter parts in order to build a UFO. It was, again, rather unclear about whether Blair was doing this or the Thing, though I guess it makes more sense that the Thing was trying to construct an escape ship. Although I'm with Spoonie, the image of Wilford Brimley flying around in a UFO and invading a city is awesomely hilarious. 24 hours ago, the Thing was ostensibly destroyed at the cost of Outpost 31 and 10 of its personnel. Exhausted from their ordeal and unsure as to whether one or the other of them might be infected by the Thing, the two survivors, McCready and Childs, decided to wait, either for rescue or for the sub-zero temperatures to kill them. Rescue? No. No, not rescue.
How will we make it?
Maybe we should.
We open in, well, Antarctica. Antarctica. The ragged peaks of the Eternity Mountains lift their backs into emptiness cut only by wind. It is home to evil Santa Claus, who conspires at his lair in the South Pole to steal toys from the children of the world. Struggle to remember a gentler place, a place where the wind could not kill you. What, are you kidding? I live in Minnesota. This is tanning weather. People will tell you the wind here will make you insane, that it'll strip from you those things which make you human. Hope, reason, and compassion. Oh, it's not the wind that's doing that. It's the invading Cybermen that are taking care of that. We see a figure drop another in the snow and then walk off. When we get a closer look, we realize that the figure left behind is, in fact, McCready. What? We can probably assume the guy who left him here was Childs, but why the hell would they try to walk off into the storm? Do I have to play that clip from the end of the movie again? There is absolutely no reason for them to do this, especially when they're completely exhausted from everything that happened. And there's no place they can go! The closest outpost to them was the Norwegian one that had been destroyed, and it's not exactly a sanctuary, and they were 1,000 miles from the coast. Where the hell were they going? And yes, I know, there aren't any real outposts that are that far inside Antarctica, but if this thing is going by real-world logic, the thing could have easily infected one person and then make a break for the coast in dog form to infect a fish or something if it was that damn close. After all, it ran from the Norwegian outpost all the way to Outpost 31 while it was a dog, so if they were that close to water the whole time, then there shouldn't have been a problem, or even go to one of the many other research outposts that are on the continent. After all, if they are really that close to water, there are plenty of other places it could have gone, or the people at Outpost 31 could have tried to contact. This is one of the problems with trying to create a direct sequel to the movie with Childs or MacReady. It's pretty clear that they were doomed at the end. You'd have to really suspend your disbelief to assume that they had any hope of rescue. MacReady, getting up, spots a light in the sky and then collapses, I guess, because the next page shows another figure holding him and a boat up above shining a light down on him. Bull crap! Forget about the coastline plot hole. A boat this size just happens to spot MacReady on the ice at night? But whatever, we will stretch it for the sake of the plot. MacReady is brought on board the ship and he's unconscious for a while, but wakes up at some unspecified time later. The doctor tells him he's on board a Japanese whaling vessel. How did I get here? Your friend, he brought you out onto the ice. He saved your life. Wait, how the hell do they know that? All we saw is MacReady left out in a big snowy plateau, and then Childs walked off, then MacReady got up for a little bit, then bright light, then a second guy, presumably from the whaling ship, next to his unconscious again body. Did Childs go on board the ship and then go back again? What? That doesn't make any sense, especially with the dialogue spoken. Childs, where is he? You don't remember? Are there pages missing? Is that what's going on? The doctor says Childs went back to the research station to get the others, causing MacReady to scream that everybody there is dead and he needs to stop Childs. They sedate him when he tries to get out of bed and figure it's just shock from the extreme case of exposure. They restrain him to prevent him from harming himself until he's feeling better. Later, he awakens and tries to figure out a way to escape. He spots a nearby tray of medical instruments, including scalpels. There's a tray with scalpels on it over there. I've got it! I'll cut an artery, and then my bloody wrist will easily slip out of the restraints. Nah, he of course just barely manages to reach it and pull a scalpel over, using it to cut his bonds. Wait. The tray was on his right side, and we saw it was his right hand reaching for it and taking a scalpel. How the hell did his left arm get free first? And if it was free the whole time, why the hell didn't he just reach over with his left hand?
Space is warped and time is bendable.
Now that he's freed, he decides to get dressed, since they apparently left his clothes in the room, and he talks to himself. Think. I have to think. And by think, I mean speak out loud. The research station was destroyed. Childs brought me here. But why? If Childs was infected, why didn't he just leave me to die back at the research station? Why would he bring me out onto the ice? Well, let me put it this way, MacReady. You ever see The Empire Strikes Back? He was gonna pull a tauntaun with your body. Hello! I'm the doctor, and we'll be right back! Oh dear. Oh, we're back! He considers the possibility that he's infected as well. Let's talk for a second about the people who are infected. Many people have suggested that the Thing, or shapeshifters in general, would let the original personality be dominant for the majority of time so as not to make people suspect them, or even make good suggestions to throw people off the trail. The problem is, as we saw last week, that's a bad idea. Gary in the Starstream adaptation was the first to volunteer for the blood test and was immediately found out. The problem when dealing with possessing thinking creatures like that is, well, they think. It's better to stay in the background, not draw attention to yourself, and especially not give your enemies good ideas. Letting the human do the walking and the talking is too risky. It was also suggested, and pointed out in the making of the film on the DVD, which I highly recommend because it is awesome, that there was a lot of discussion amongst the cast whether they knew they were infected with the thing or not. They pretty much agreed that no one actively knew and only subconsciously suspected. My own personal preference, however, is that they do know and the thing is in the driver's seat. After all, we see several times that the thing does act in preservation of its own life, like tainting the blood supply so they can't do a serum test, or when the Blair thing at the end attacks Gary. Or, hell, even just the dog in its attempts to actively assimilate the other dogs. But hey, I admit that's my own interpretation, and for some stuff like this, we don't really have any solid rules. It's simply how I view the story. And there is another interpretation if you read the short story The Things, which I'll talk about next time. Realizing that he needs to test himself to see if he's infected, MacReady cuts his finger and puts quite a lot of blood, actually, into a conveniently placed petri dish. He takes a wire from the medical equipment and, I guess, magics himself up something to heat it up and puts the hot wire into the blood. It singes and doesn't change, proving he's not infected. MacReady sneaks out to try to find a way off the boat. Now, one could wonder why he doesn't tell anybody about what happened, but let's be honest. How likely is it going to be that they'd believe him? I mean, yeah, the Japanese do deal with tentacle monsters all the time, but not like this. And just by sheer luck and coincidence, the whaling boat has a helicopter on it. MacReady's luck should be a trope. How many times has the dude survived near death, not been infected, not had any helicopter problems from the numerous snowstorms he's been in, gotten rescued several times, and is almost always right in his conclusions? And now he's found another helicopter. I guess someone left the keys in it too, since he manages to take off and fly away. He spots Childs' tracks in the snow and follows them, seeing they were headed east. He wants to go after them further, but it seems his luck has run out. The helicopter was low on fuel when he stole it. While he's unable to make it to another station, he does crash the helicopter right outside Outpost 31. What a coinky-dink! He grabs some thermite torches and explores the remains of the outpost, finding the dead body of Knowles, one of the remaining characters from the movie who was killed off screen. Knowles, you weren't infected when I left you. Now you're one of the skulls in Longbox of the Damned. MacReady finds two more bodies, which I think are Dr. Copper and Clark. It's not entirely clear. He pours kerosene on them from a barrel. He's got a lot of physical strength for someone who has only recently recovered from frostbite and exposure, and lights them up with the flamethrower. Doc Fuchs said there's still cellular activity in these bodies even after they've been frozen. One cell of living material is enough to infect an organism. I have to find them and burn them all. There can't be anything left. Geez, for someone who doesn't have another life form inside of him, I talk to myself a lot. He then goes further into the ruins and discovers the remains of the larger creature he encountered at the end of the movie. Hello, you son of a bitch. Go to sleep on me? Frozen isn't dead with you, is it? God, you're like that taco meat that's been in the freezer for 3 years that we never talk about. After kicking over another barrel of kerosene, he tosses a grenade. John Carpenter's The Thing. Light and get away. After blowing that the hell up, he runs across the frozen remains of another Thing creature, but unfortunately his flamethrower has run out of fuel. He takes some gasoline this time and pours it on, lighting up a flare. But then we see a sniper? What in the... Somehow MacReady spots the sniper, and they shoot the flare out of his hand. Oh dear Lord, please don't tell me we're going into the video game territory where the military wants to turn the Thing into a weapon, because that would just be so damn stupid that I'd have to quit right here. They search him and say they're a SEAL team. A helicopter out of McMurdo had reported that the camp was on fire, and they were sent to investigate why. So they sent 4 guys in with assault rifles and sniper guns? What? What if it was just that a fire had gotten out of control or something? Were they gonna shoot the fire to put it out? MacReady explains that he was the helicopter pilot and talks about what happened with the thing, even telling them to check out the Norwegian camp, but all they're interested in are the dead bodies, and MacReady confirms that he was the one who killed them. Of course, MacReady was just right next to a clearly alien body, but somehow it takes them like 5 minutes to notice the damn thing. Look, I understand your first inclination isn't to believe him, but when you see something like that, I think you might want to consider it's possible he's telling the truth, especially when he's otherwise calm until you try to touch it. They cuff him and then knock him out, calling him crazy. Jesus, what is that thing? I don't know. Whatever it is, the bio team will figure it out. If he gets frisky again, Masher, shoot him. Love to, sir. Well, thank you for perpetuating the stereotype of military officers being trigger-happy dumbasses. We wouldn't want to try to have characters who are halfway intelligent and therefore want to see them come out alive, would we? Now comes Miller time. No! I cannot take Frank Miller on top of everything else. He would just turn the thing into a woman who bites a guy's penis off while they're having sex or something, while it narrates the same 3 lines of dialogue over and over. So the SEAL team calls in a helicopter and it comes in to pick them up, but it's time for complete illogic from the creature to strike again. What in the hell? Christ, look at Pybus! Huh? What about him? He has a scarf on that's covering his mouth, and the scarves are billowing in the air. Wait, is he supposed to be infected? Why would the thing reveal itself? What possible reason does it have to reveal itself? And by the way, if that's not his scarf but an inhuman mouth, don't show us a panel before this of a scarf covering a guy's mouth! It actually took me quite a while to figure out what the hell was going on with this page because of that scarf thing from the previous one. It's colored so dark in this panel that it looked like it was just the guy wearing a scarf, not that he was transforming. And again, why would the thing reveal itself? It's about to get away scot-free. No one believes MacReady, and it has plenty of time to infect the others. Hell, at what point did the thing infect this guy? Clearly, no one has been at Outpost 31 for a while, so the remains of the thing must have frozen over all across the place. And if it was supposed to be that guy who reached down and touched it, he was wearing a glove! Even if we bought this idiotic idea that the thing spreads just through touch, one of the key elements of the thing's transformation that they hammered across in the movie is that the thing rips through your clothes when it transforms, so clearly it's not infecting a glove! And on top of all of that, it needs to transform all the cells in his body. It's been like 5 friggin' minutes! And don't tell me that people can transform faster or some crap like that, saying that's what happened with Windows. Clearly the thing had prolonged contact with his body and didn't just brush up against him or something. Anyway, I guess the thing, now found out because of its own bottomless stupidity, opens fire on the others and even opens fire on the helicopter. It has now trashed its own escape route. Even if it was just found out, why wouldn't it just shoot at the other guy so it could take the helicopter away? The remaining SEAL team members fire on it, but are all quickly killed save for one. MacReady somehow gets a grenade or something and launches it at the thing, which has become this bug creature, blowing it up. It seems that the Navy SEAL guy has wised up and listens to MacReady. For about 5 seconds, as we'll see. They discuss their options. They have wounded people, the radio in the helicopter is fried, as is their SATCOM. The helicopter back at Outpost 31 is trashed, and the gas for the snow tractors, which were disabled anyway according to the movie, was used in burning the bodies. If we don't get shelter or transport, we'll die here!
Perfect!
then that's the way it shall be.
Actually, that's not too far off. MacCready is fine with the team dying out here as long as they burn the bodies to prevent the thing from spreading. The SEAL officer, Erskine, says he's going to get the wounded men to an Argentine outpost that's 30 clicks away, pointing his gun at MacCready and demanding he help carry the wounded. He fires a warning shot when MacCready refuses. My orders were to evacuate survivors from the camp, and that's what I'm gonna do! I'm a character in the military in a work of fiction. I only care about following orders and shooting things. God, I have so many nuances! You wouldn't shoot me, Erskine. Not now. I need you. Then why did you fire a warning shot at his foot a second ago? And why would you tell MacCready that you weren't going to shoot him? And why does MacCready go along with this then? These three events completely contradict one another. Ugh, they make litters for the wounded and drag them across the snow, and as time passes, MacCready eventually says they need to leave the one he's carrying behind since he's dead. MacCready marks the spot with a flag so someone can come back and burn the body later. You're really going all the way with this alien stuff, aren't you?
Haven't you been paying any attention today?
You were... What? Ugh. Okay, they start out again with Erskine hoping he picked the correct path to the Argentine camp, and MacCready refusing to help go in the right direction. As the hours continue on, dawn eventually breaks and still no camp in sight. MacCready says they were heading in the right direction, but went on the wrong path. Erskine does not take it well, attacking MacCready in a brawl that ends with MacCready getting hold of the gun. This is beginning to make sense to me now. You said that thing could sleep in the ice. Maybe that's why you want us to freeze out here, so you can go to sleep and wait for the rescue party. Oh, so now you believe the alien stuff, do ya? Don't you just love it when a story can't even stay consistent within itself for a few pages? Erskine goes for a knife and MacCready threatens to shoot him, but our comic ends with a snow tractor coming right the hell out of nowhere, revealing two men speaking Spanish. And our long-lost pal, Childs. Well, thank God the MacCready luck has hit again, as the Argentinians and Childs apparently just happened to come across these two. This comic sucks. I'll give it this. Aside from some sequential hiccups, the artwork is actually pretty good, especially in depicting the Antarctic setting. The problems are in the writing, from falling back on tired tropes of the overly aggressive military, to MacCready being the luckiest man on Earth, and to the inconsistencies of how the thing is supposed to operate. As I said at the start, the main problem here is a tonal shift. This has really stepped away from a claustrophobic piece about paranoia and mistrust, and has instead shifted into more action horror. And some franchises can do that and get away with it. Alien and Aliens, for example. Here, it just feels wrong. But hey, it's not entirely without merit. Let's see how they botch it up next time in issue 2.
Warning. An unauthorized entity has entered the area, attempting to seal within contained areas.
Nimue? Nimue, report! Kid, what's going on? I don't know. Nimue just said there was an intruder. What? I'll get my gun. Nimue, what's your status?
If Nimue is disabled, that means the main computer is offline as well.
Computer, switch to secondary command processors. Computer! That sounds like we're cut off, kid. Then let's get the hell out of here. I'm not risking a confrontation when the emergency procedures aren't in place.
Dudes? That may be a problem!
Please do not tell me you're pushing it.
Dude, the door won't open! And it is unlocked!
Everybody stand back! Oh crap, the protection spell, I forgot! I can't do any damage to this place either! Don't worry, we'll get an axe or something and we'll bust it down. Won't work. The enchantment protects it from physical harm as well. Linksano, the communicator you made. You said if you hit the button 3 times, it'll send an emergency signal to Comicron 1 to beam us up.
Unfortunately, after you returned, I brought the communicator up to the ship to try to find out why we lost contact with you. It's not here.
Well, no problem. You can use one of your other communicators, the ones you used your voodoo on, like the Star Trek one or the Power Rangers one. Those won't be any good either, unfortunately. The main computer is tied into them as a relay point. Without the computer, well, signal won't be strong enough to reach orbit.
Dude, let me see if I get this straight. We're stuck in your apartment. We have no way of booking out of here. No way of contacting the outside world and getting some backup. And there's some thing in here with us.
Yeah. That about sums it up. Arm yourselves.